At the company's party, my wife's classmate Zhou Jian asked her a question in French. If I had returned to China with you back then, would you have become my wife? Liu Ruyan replied without hesitation. Yes, she was confident that I didn't understand French, but she had no idea that in order to visit her in France, I worked hard to learn French until I was fluent. However, every time I suggested going to see her, she refused. She was adamant that I could not come. I stared at them, raised my glass, and, with fluent French, offered my blessings to the three of them. Well then, I wish the three of you a future together from the start. My wife's face was filled with astonishment. You actually know French? I drank the wine in my glass in one gulp, and smiled as I said, I learned it in the first year you went to France to study. But I never had the chance to use it before. And from now on, there will no longer be a need to use it. Liu Ruyan suddenly panicked. While switching to French fluently to talk to her classmate, she carefully fed me some fruit. She never noticed my slightly swollen eyes. She thought I couldn't understand French, which is why she felt free to reminisce with her old lover in front of me. What she didn't know was, over the years, in order to be on the same wavelength as her, I had studied many languages and had become fluent in 5 foreign languages. Even when she deliberately spoke to her old lover in French, I understood everything. I pretended not to understand and asked her, "What are you two talking about?" She chuckled lightly and casually told me, "We're talking about work. What else? Just work." The two of them talked from relationships to astronomy, discussing everything with great enthusiasm, and as for me, she was either indifferent or impatient. I shared with her the sunset in the distance, and she told me I was utterly boring. But she clearly praised the stray cat on the roadside that Zhou Jian had shown her, going on and on about it. They talked about that photo for a full hour. She had been deceiving me like a fool for so long, and I too had kept something from her. A month later, I would be taking on an overseas assignment for the company. The confidentiality of this assignment was extremely strict, and no matter what method Liu Ruyan tried, she would never be able to find me. I looked coldly at the girl I had loved for 36 years, whose expression was still the same, whose features were unchanged, yet had completely transformed into someone I no longer knew. Suddenly, I felt utterly indifferent. I didn't want to play along with her any longer. I said I needed to go back to work, and as I stood up, Liu Ruyan stood up at the same time. In Chinese, she said, "Let's call it a day for now. I'll accompany Mr. Gu back to work." The classmates murmured in discontent. It was so hard to gather together. "Why are you leaving so soon? We haven't even started yet." Zhou Jian also chimed in from the side. "We rarely get to meet. Can't you stay a little longer?" I saw Liu Ruyan's reluctant expression, and with a light laugh, I said casually, "You stay here and spend time with them. I can go back on my own." Without waiting for her to respond, I let go of her hand, turned and left the private room. After leaving the room, I got into the car, and as I was about to start the engine, I realized I had left the hangover medicine I prepared for Liu Ruyan in my pocket. Her tolerance for alcohol wasn't very good, and I was worried she might have drunk too much. So I still wanted to give her the medicine. I got out of the car and returned to the private room. As I opened the door, I heard the noise inside grow louder and louder. For some inexplicable reason, I pushed open a small gap in the door and saw Liu Ruyan and Zhou Jian with their lips tightly pressed together. There was only a thin, almost imperceptible piece of paper between their lips. A faint blush spread across Liu Ruyan's delicate face, and Zhou Jian's eyes were full of. In the midst of the noise, the thin paper between them fell unnoticed. Zhou Jian seemed to use his large hand to grip the back of her head, deepening the kiss. My breath caught, and my heart felt as though it were being squeezed by a large hand. A wave of sharp pain surging through me. From the crowd, someone called out, "Ruyin, aren't you afraid of being caught by Gu Yongchuan?" Liu Ruyin snapped out of the kiss and let out a light laugh. "Not at all. He trusts me so much. He will never doubt me. And he'll never find out about us. When I talk to Shen, we speak in French. He doesn't understand it, so you two really know how to play the game. I thought you and Gu Yongchuan were all about pure love. Didn't expect you to fall first." Liu Ruyan tilted her head back and finished the drink in her glass. "I still love him, but I can't love only him. Facing the same person for so many years, you'll eventually get tired of it. My actions are understandable, as long as I hide it well enough, and he doesn't find out, everything will be fine." When these words were spoken, the atmosphere reached its peak. Everyone suggested playing a game of truth or dare. Each person took turns spinning the beer bottle on the table, and whoever the bottle pointed at had to tell the truth. After several rounds, it was finally Liu Ruyan's turn. A classmate with ill intent asked, "You and Zhou Jian were together abroad for 3 years. Did you develop real feelings for him?" Liu Ruyan smiled lightly, then casually replied, "I truly loved him." Another classmate asked, "Then who do you love more, Gu Yongchuan or Zhou Jian?" Liu Ruyan lowered her gaze, tipped her head back and drank from her glass. But her eyes never left Zhou Jian. Her answer was ambiguous. Standing outside the door, I watched everything unfold. My heart felt as though it were being sliced apart. It felt as if a hole had been ripped open in my chest, blood gushing out in waves. I thought back to 8 years ago, the moment one married Liu Ruyan. She had delicate makeup, a beautiful, flawless look, wearing a pure white wedding gown, holding a bouquet of fresh flowers, slowly walking towards me. The corners of her lips lifted into a warm, inviting smile, her dimples adding a sweetness to her expression. In that moment, it felt as if I had won the whole world. I held her hand tightly, raising it high, and joyfully announced to the guests, "I finally married the girl I love most." At that time, she was also in tears, promising to love me for a lifetime. But in just a few short years, the girl who made me feel like I had won the world was now the one who had made me lose everything. I didn't want to see any more. I turned and walked away. As I turned, I bumped into a waiter bringing drinks. I made a gesture, indicating for him to stay quiet. "My wife is in there with someone else. I'm looking for evidence." "You mustn't tell them." The waiter, a young man just starting in the workforce, looked at me with pity in his eyes. Men truly understand men's pain. After I made sure he wouldn't spill anything, I felt relieved and let out a breath. I wiped away the tear stains from the corner of my eyes with the back of my hand, gathered my emotions, and walked out. I got back into the car, started the engine, and drove towards the courtyard where Liu Ruyan and I had grown up together. After life improved, everyone gradually moved away. The empty courtyard made me feel cold inside. I sat on the doorstep, staring blankly for a long, long time. In a daze, I seemed to see the girl with twin pigtails, holding my face, and making a lifetime promise to me. She said, "I will only love Gu Yun for the rest of my life." She said, "Zichuan, we must always be together. I'll always be with you." Liu Ruyan, those who break their promises must be punished. Then I will punish you. A month later, you will never see me again. I stayed in the courtyard until late into the night before returning home. I opened the door, and the room was completely dark. I glanced at my phone, and there wasn't a single message. I let out a self-deprecating smile and turned off the phone, then walked to the bathroom to shower and comfortably lie in bed. I drifted into a light sleep, and in the middle of the night, I felt the other side of the bed sink in. Someone tightly held me from behind. Liu Ruyan, reeking of alcohol, in a hoarse voice said, "I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've seen them, so I drank a bit too much out of excitement." I spoke in a neutral tone, asking her, "Why didn't you let me pick you up?" She hugged me tighter. "Zhou Jin lives nearby, so he just dropped me off. I didn't want to disturb your rest, so I didn't call you." I made a small sound, not wanting to continue the conversation. I pried her hand away and shifted to a different position to sleep, but I soon realized she was already asleep. Her eyes were tightly shut, and there were still glaring marks on her neck from the kiss. The red imprint pulsed with her heartbeat, like Zhou Jian's silent provocation to me. I lost all desire for sleep. I got up and went to the living room, lighting a cigarette. The smoke spread as I inhaled, but instinctively I snuffed it out. Liu Ruyan had severe rhinitis and couldn't tolerate the smell of smoke. As a smoker with 10 years of experience, I had forced myself to quit. But now, I didn't want to quit anymore. Liu Ruyan wasn't worth me making that sacrifice for. I leaned back on the couch, lighting one cigarette after another. I remembered back in university. A girl in my class relentlessly pursued me. When Liu Ruyan found out, she deliberately applied exquisite makeup, and we walked hand in hand again and again on the path the girl would take after class. She was domineering, wanting to claim me for herself, and proudly declared to the girl, "Gu Yongshuan is my boyfriend, and will one day be my husband. You'll never have a chance." At that time, she was beautiful, bright, full of life, with a vibrant energy that could infect everyone around her. Who wouldn't like her? But that girl, whose eyes were always full of me, had disappeared, and I didn't even know when it had happened. Now, she had shed the shyness and wildness of her youth. She had become mature and composed, exuding charm. But she no longer had the same passion or the true love for me that she once did. I was woken up by the noise coming from the kitchen in the morning. When I opened my eyes, I saw Liu Ruyan wearing an apron, busy at work. My heart skipped a beat. In my memory, Liu Ruyan had never set foot in the kitchen during the many years we were married. I had always been protective of her delicate skin and couldn't bear to let her suffer the smell of cooking oil, so I had never let her cook. Had she realized something in her heart? And was she trying to show it to me this way? Just as I was thinking this, I got up, put on my shoes, and stepped over the scattered cigarette butts on the floor. I walked straight into the kitchen. By the time I got there, she had already placed the steaming seafood porridge into the thermos. When she saw me, she raised her eyelids slightly, but didn't stop what she was doing. "You're awake. Why did you sleep on the sofa last night?" "I need to go out for a bit. Zhou Jian, he drank too much last night, and I'm going to bring him some porridge to help his stomach." Realizing something might be off, she glanced at the empty pot. With a hint of apology, she said, "This is my first time making porridge, so I think I may have made too little. You can just manage with whatever's there." Before I could respond, she walked straight out of the kitchen. When her gaze fell on the cigarette but scattered across the living room floor, she stopped in her tracks. She turned around, her eyes filled with emotions I couldn't understand. "Zichuan, I told you before. I don't like it when you smoke. You never listen to me. Then I'll punish you. You won't see me for the next few days." She pretended to be angry, but then let out a soft laugh. "Don't be so serious. I've just been busy with a project lately. It's almost at the final stage. To be more efficient, we've all chosen to stay at the company. Don't overthink it. Once I'm done with this, I'll spend some proper time with you." As she spoke, she changed her slippers at the entrance. "You've always wanted to go to Western Sichuan, right? Next month, I'll take half a month off to go with you, okay?" Before I could respond, the door slammed shut with a loud thud. "Next month, Liu Ruyan. We won't have a next month. In the following week, I didn't see Liu Ruyan at all. She came back while I wasn't home to pick up some clothes. I didn't ask about her whereabouts, but Zhou Jian's social media posts became more and more frequent. There were photos of Liu Ruyan making soup for him, of her drunkenly gathering the courage to sing a love song for him, of her dancing gracefully in a sheer skirt just to make him smile. Each post flaunted the passionate love Liu Ruyan had for him. I never liked any of them, pretending I hadn't seen them. I had more important things to focus on. At this moment, there was only 1 week left before I was to leave the country. I had to erase every trace of me in this home. The first day, Liu Ruyan was making health tonic soup for Zhou Jian. I threw the nutritional recipe I had personally designed for her into the shredder. The second day, Liu Ruyan was shyly singing a love song for him at a lounge bar. I burned all the love letters between us. The third day, Liu Ruyan and Zhou Jian were kissing under the moonlight. I tossed our wedding rings into the sea. On the day I left, Liu Ruyan appeared on my bed, looking exhausted. Xiao Chun, why does it feel like there's less and less stuff around the house? I looked at her. My tone calm. A little proper decluttering can make the house cleaner and tidier. Some things that no longer fit should be cleared out early. She knew I was talking about the trash, but a hint of panic still flashed across her face. She took my arm, smiling as she said, "You've worked so hard these years, juggling work and taking care of the house and me. Once I'm done with this, I'll make it up to you." As she spoke, my phone received a text message. Liu Ruyan asked me, "What has been successfully processed?" At her words, my heart skipped a beat. I grabbed my phone, quickly turned the screen down and placed it on the bed. Luckily, I had changed the screen lock password. Liu Ruyan could only see a few words. I pretended nothing had happened, casually saying, "It's nothing." A new dessert shop opened near the community. The products look great, so I signed up for a membership. "I'll go buy some little cakes for you later." Liu Ruyan seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Lying in my arms, she coquettishly asked, "Guess what I brought you?" I was momentarily stunned and replied, "Did you bring those pan-fried buns from that shop in the city?" A glimmer of surprise flashed in Liu Ruyan's eyes. "Baby, how did you know?" How could I not know? Back in university, Liu Ruyan always participated in various club activities, which often involved physical contact with male classmates. I felt upset, jealous, and angry. To cheer me up, she once missed 3 bus rides just to bring me pan-fried buns. When she appeared in front of me holding the hot buns, I immediately softened. She cupped my face in her hands, her eyes filled with affection. "My little Xiaochuan is such a glutton. Too easy to please. Just 8 small buns and you're happy." I pretended to be angry. My cheeks puffed up. "I'm not easy to please. It's because I love you. I'm willing to give you everything. But if one day I don't love you anymore, even if you dig your heart out for me, I won't even look at you." Now she wanted to use the same method to win back my heart, but I was no longer willing to give her another chance. Liu Ruyan cautiously took out a thermos box filled with pan-fried buns from behind her. Like a treasure, she brought it to me. "I knew nothing could escape from your greedy little eyes. You smelled the buns, didn't you?" I gazed at her eyes filled with tenderness. I forced a smile. "You really can't hide anything from me." It seemed like my words hit a nerve. Liu Ruyan lowered her gaze, a hint of panic flickering in her eyes. Seeing her flustered expression, I couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. I took the thermos box from her hands and placed it on the bedside table. Then I took out a beautifully wrapped gift box from the drawer and handed it to her. Her face lit up with surprise. "What's this?" Just as she was about to open it, I stopped her. "This is your anniversary gift for our 8th wedding anniversary. Open it on that day, or there will be no surprise. Liu Ruyin nodded and placed a gentle kiss on my cheek. I'll do as you say. I'll keep it safe and open it when the time comes. Suddenly, she seemed to realize something was off. She asked, "Our anniversary is in 2 days. Why are you giving it to me so early?" I replied, "I'm just worried you'll be busy and won't have time to receive it on the day." Liu Ruyin looked slightly apologetic. "Wait for me a bit. I'll be done soon. By then, I'll definitely be back by your side." Not wanting to endure her fake act any longer, I stood up and went to the bathroom to wash up. When I came out, Liu Ruyin had changed into a beautiful teal mermaid skirt. With her makeup meticulously done, she looked elegant and lively. I looked at her. "Are we attending some event today?" She opened her jewelry box and pulled out an expensive necklace. I helped her fasten the necklace. This necklace was a gift from my mother when we got married. It was precious and delicate, and she only wore it once at the wedding. She noticed the confusion in my eyes as she glanced at the mirror. She explained, "I'm going to the birthday party of the CEO of Pingfang Company. For important occasions, I need to dress more grandly." But I clearly saw from the latest updates on Zhou Jianshin's social media that today was his birthday. I let out a soft laugh and responded, "Well, for such an important day, you really should dress up a bit." Maybe she sensed the underlying tone in my words and turned to throw herself into my arms. "I promise I won't drink too much tonight. I'll come back early to keep you company, okay?" I gently pushed her away, forcing a smile. "Go ahead. Don't let anything hold you back." Seeing my smile, she finally let go of her worries. She put on her high heels and swayed her slender waist as she left. Watching her walk down the stairs, I let out a deep breath, wiping away the tears that had gathered in the corners of my eyes. I turned and went to my room to grab my suitcase. Looking around the room, I took one last glance at the house where I had lived for 8 years. It was time. I was going to say goodbye to this place for good. I pulled out my phone and screenshot all the private posts Zhou Jianshin had shared only with me and sent them to Liu Ruyin. "Actually, I started learning French just for you. In the first year you went abroad, but it seems I'll never get to use it now. I agreed to the fact that you wanted to become Zhou Jianshin's wife. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness." After finishing all of this, I removed the SIM card from my phone and threw it, along with the box of Shengji and Bao, into the trash can before leaving resolutely. From this moment on, Liu Ruyin had completely lost me. After a long journey, I finally arrived in the country. Here, I was about to begin a new life. There would be no love here, only work and ambition. I was determined to become the person I always wanted to be. From now on, I would live only for myself. The leaders of the country welcomed us, this time as the backbone of Wagwo's technology. We were going to spend the next 5 years working on research here. At that time, on the other side, Liu Ruyin was attending Zhou Jianshin's birthday party. She took out a beautifully wrapped small gift box, and inside was a peace charm she had prayed for Zhou Jianshin. "I know you lack nothing, so I prayed to the gods to bless you, hoping that your future would be worry-free and smooth. I walked every step and bowed to the gods for this. This bond is heavier than anything else." After she finished speaking, Zhou Jianshin tightly embraced her, almost wanting to absorb her into his very bones. As the atmosphere reached its peak, he leaned down, wanting to kiss her soft lips. But this time, she felt no excitement, only a sense of distraction. As if something was wrong, she felt a faint pain in her heart, and it seemed like something was about to happen. She pushed him away, almost as if running from him. She ran to the bathroom. Looking at herself in the mirror, she felt a little disoriented. As long as she kept the secret well enough, Xiao Chuan wouldn't find out. What's more, when she went to the temple for the peace charm, she had also prayed for Xiao Chuan. Her love for him was no less than the love she once had for Zhou Jianshin. She comforted herself with these thoughts, but deep down, she felt less and less certain. What's wrong with you today? You don't seem quite right. Zhou Jianshin tightly embraced her from behind, his head resting on her neck. Greedily inhaling her scent, his hands roamed over her body until the fabric of her dress loosened. Only then did she snap back to reality. She pushed him away. Don't do this. I need to get home early tonight. I promise, Xiaochuan. Zhou Jianshin's eyes reddened. But today is my birthday. Please stay with me just this once. In the future, I won't see you again without your permission. The single tear that traced her skin, more than a passionate kiss, left her completely lost. She once again fell into his embrace. An hour later, she fixed her makeup, which had been ruined by Zhou Jianshin's kisses, and took a hot shower, making sure there was no trace of his scent on her skin. Only then did she drive back home. She pushed open the door. The house was eerily silent. She called out Guyun's name loudly, but all she got in response was the chilling embrace of darkness. For a moment, she felt the weight of the light in her heart. She turned on all the lights in the house. She saw the half-eaten, unopened bag of Shengjianbao in the trash. Her legs wobbled unsteadily. She screamed in despair. Xiaochuan, stop messing around. Come out. I know I was wrong. I promised I'd come back early today. But I broke my promise again. I swear there won't be a next time. Please come out. Once again, the only response was silence. It's not possible. Guyun wouldn't leave her. He was just punishing her, hiding away. She comforted herself again and again, until her gaze landed on the gift box on the table. Didn't Guyun say to wait 2 more days to open it? Her hands tore the wrapping off violently. Inside, she found the divorce papers that he had already signed. He didn't ask for anything, only freedom, walking away with nothing. She gripped the thin papers tightly. Her fingers went numb, and her body trembled uncontrollably. She almost collapsed, unable to stand. How is this possible? Guyun loved her so much. How could he suddenly want a divorce? She couldn't understand. She'd hidden everything so well. There was no way he could have found out. She couldn't wrap her head around it. Panicking like an ant on a hot pan, she paced frantically around the house. Finally, she mustered the courage to take out her phone. She was about to dial Guyun's number. Turning off airplane mode, messages from Gu Yunshuan kept coming in one after another. She couldn't bear it anymore. She collapsed onto the floor. It turned out that he had already learned French. The sweet words she had spoken to Zhou Yunshin in front of him. He had heard them all. Just thinking about this scene made her heart ache like a knife. What kind of emotions had Xiaochuan been hiding while standing by her side at that time? He had heard his wife flirt with another man. How painful must that have been for him? She couldn't bear to think further. She felt as though a pair of large hands were choking her neck, making it hard to breathe. In a frantic frenzy, she searched for traces left behind by Gu Yunshuan. Opening the drawer, she found a thick photo album. Maybe, if she went through their memories, she could move him and find a way back to his side. But the sight before her only plunged her deeper into despair. Over 1,800 photos, along with all her memories with Gu Yunshuan, had disappeared. Now she finally understood. Xiaochuan had really left. He no longer loved her. She dug her nails into her palm, the brief pain bringing her back to her senses. She used all her connections to check the airline's exit records. At the same time, she swallowed her pride, begging Gu Yunshuan's company leaders to tell her his whereabouts. But all her efforts yielded nothing. She forced herself to calm down. She searched everywhere he could possibly go, but still there was no news. Gu Yunshuan's parents had died in a car accident 3 years ago. He had no family left. He was all alone. Where could he go? An hour later, the airport reported no exit records for Gu Yunshuan today. She was enveloped by immense sorrow. This time, she had to believe. she would never find him again. She didn't even have the chance to say, "I'm sorry." She held the thin divorce agreement in her hands, her fingers tracing the signature he had written so carefully. The pain was unbearable. Tears blurred her vision until the tears soaked the paper. She noticed a line of writing on the back. "Water flows gently, thinking of you longingly. 1,000 miles apart, one night, you will be mine. From now on, I have no heart to love, my good man. Let him be beneath the bright moon in the western tower." Liu Ruyan realized she had completely hurt Gu Yunchuan. He would never come back. She felt the world spinning around her. She collapsed to the floor. She didn't know how long it had been. But eventually, she gradually woke up. She forced herself not to think about the painful things. But Gu Yunchuan's heartbroken departure lingered in her mind. How had he faced her knowing everything she had done? He had probably known everything from the very beginning. How had he felt about her all this time? Gu Yunchuan had always lacked a sense of security. So he had very high expectations for love. On the day they confirmed their relationship, he had said, "I will always be loyal to love. If you betray me, I will leave you without hesitation. I will never look back." At that time, Liu Ruyan had thought the same. She would only love Gu Yunchuan. She would never do anything to hurt him. But when did everything start to spiral out of control? Perhaps it was when she went abroad that year. She was alone in a foreign land, feeling helpless from loneliness and fear, until she met her college classmate, Jinshin. They spent time together day and night, and feelings began to grow. Eventually, they crossed the line. She gradually forgot her initial resolve. She walked further and further down the wrong path. She thought as long as she hid it well enough, no one would find out. As long as she returned home and devoted herself entirely to Gu, everything would be left behind overseas. But she didn't expect. Zhou Jinshin chased her all the way back to the country. She loved Gu Yunchuan, but couldn't let go of Zhou Jinshin. She kept jumping between the two of them. But the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. Gu Yunchuan being so perceptive, how could he not have noticed the signs? Just as she was thinking about this, her phone received a few delayed messages. They were sent from Gu Yunchuan's number. She eagerly opened the messages. She had thought she would see a message from him, reaching out to reconcile. But instead, the content of the message made it even harder for her to accept. Her hands trembled as she could hardly wait to unlock her phone. She swiped the screen. The messages were all screenshots from Zhou Jinshin's social media posts. Every moment they shared, Gu Yunchuan already knew. Each of the photos and the provocative words made Liu Ruyan feel suffocated. Fuming with rage, she immediately dialed Zhou Jinshin's number. "Why did you tell Gu Yunchuan everything? Don't you know how important he is to me?" There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Then in a hoarse voice, he replied, "I know he's important to you, but you're equally important to me. I just love you too much. I wanted you to stay with me forever. Is that so wrong?" Liu Ruyan froze. For the first time, she felt Zhou Jinshin's love for her heavy like chains, suffocating and unbearable. "Zhou Jinshin, I warned you. I told you not to appear around Gu Yunchuan. Who do you think you are? You ruined everything and made me lose him. Now you won't have it easy either." The more Liu Ruyan thought about it, the angrier she became. She drove to Zhou Jinshin's place. In a blind rage, she pounded on his door. Zhou Jinshin wasn't surprised to see her. He smiled, ready to let her in. But before he could react, she slapped him across the face. Liu Ruyan said, "Zhou Jinshin, I really never thought you were such a lowly person. You claim to love me, but all you've done is hurt me. You're despicable." With that, Liu Ruyan raised her hand, trying to slap him again. But he grabbed her wrist, pulling her into his embrace. "I'm sorry. I love you so much. I can't bear the thought of sharing you with anyone else. Please believe me. I love you so deeply that I did these things out of love. But I don't think I've done anything wrong. Liu Ruyan let out a cold laugh. I used to think I loved you. But after Gu Yanchuan left me, I realized the only person I've ever loved is him. You're nothing to me. Just a passing rainstorm. Once the rain stops, we're over. Zhou Jinshin's eyes turned red, and he gripped her shoulders tightly, asking in disbelief, "So you never loved me?" Just like before. She didn't hesitate for a moment. She answered without a second thought. "I was just fascinated by you." Zhou Jinshin laughed bitterly. "To stay by your side. I gave up my job abroad, came back to the country, and now you're telling me you never loved me at all?" Liu Ruyan looked at the man who had made her lose her true love, and she felt nothing but disgust. "Yes, I not only don't love you, I want you to pay for your actions. I know how much you value your current work. But don't forget, if it weren't for me recommending you, you wouldn't have had this opportunity to stay at Yangshuan Group." Zhou Jinshin's eyes widened, a flash of surprise crossing his gaze. "What do you want to do? I could give you this job, but I can also take everything away from you. This is your just punishment." Seeing Liu Ruyan's continued resolve, Zhou Jinshin couldn't maintain his pretense any longer. "Liu Ruyan, you disgust me. Back then, it was you who shamelessly got into my bed. And now you're pretending to be the innocent victim. Who are you trying to fool with your fake affection? What about her?" Liu Ruyan's eyes widened in shock, unable to believe that these words were coming from Zhou Jinshin's mouth. Zhou Jinshin ignored her stunned expression and continued. "Back then, you couldn't keep your boundaries, and you cheated. You should have known this day would come. I was just giving you a helping hand from behind. The true culprit is you. You can't blame anyone else." With every word he spoke, Liu Ruyan's face turned paler. "There's one more thing you probably don't know. After I came back to the country and we first met, Gu Yanchuan came to me. He begged me to leave you. We made a bet. And of course, he lost." Liu Ruyan felt her head spinning, as if she had been struck by a lightning bolt. She fled Zhou Jinshin's home, overwhelmed by the series of blows she couldn't bear. She reflexively began to vomit. Crouching by the roadside, she cried out loud, disregarding her image. For the next few months, Liu Ruyan exhausted every means to search for Gu Yanchuan's whereabouts. But all her efforts were in vain. It seemed as though he had completely disappeared from this world. The long-term exhaustion and her depressed mental state led to her falling ill. Meanwhile, after Zhou Jinshin lost his job, he left Taiken. It was said that he wasn't doing well. 5 years passed. In the country, our team finally completed the great research project. We could apply to return to our home country. The supervisor asked me, "Do you still plan to go back? If you don't want to return, I can help you apply to stay here." I shook my head. "It's been 5 years. I should go back." After returning to the country, the organization awarded us the highest honor, and the media outlets competed to cover our success. For a while, we became the talk of the town, both at home and abroad. Amid the crowd, I spotted Liu Ruyan at first glance. In my memories, her eyes were always bright, with the proud gleam of youth. But now, she wore a simple black-green down jacket, with dark circles under her eyes. Her expression weary. There was no trace of light in her eyes. It seemed as though the vitality that once shone in her was about to vanish. Her eyes were filled with tears, and from a distance, she stood among the crowd, watching me. She mouthed silently to me, "I'm sorry." After the interview ended, she staggered through the crowd and approached me. Her crying reached me before her words did. Tears fell from her eyes in heavy drops. Her fragile, petite frame seemed as if it might shatter at any moment. I looked at her indifferently, no ripples stirring within my heart. Time, indeed, is the best remedy. I feared her crying might draw the attention of others, so I silently allowed her to sit in my car. She took the tissue I offered, and after a few moments, her sobs subsided. Shaking, she spoke. I thought I'd never see you again in this life. I'm so glad. I can still see you. She reached out to touch my face, but I turned my head away, avoiding her touch. I adjusted my gold-framed glasses, wearing a cold, unreadable expression, a faint sense of detachment. She sensed the change, withdrew her hand. You sought me out just to see me? I broke the silence first, my tone calm, without a trace of emotion. She sniffled. Her small body seemed to carry all the grievances of the years. She wanted to pour out everything she had suffered, but I had no patience for it. I glanced at my watch, my tone as cold as ice. You have 10 minutes. I have things to do. I'm not here to reminisce with you. She fell silent, and then hesitantly said, I want to explain. What happened back then? I know I haven't done well. I have completely ended things with Zhou Jianshen. Over the years, I have developed severe depression because of fighting with you. I can't sleep at night. I have truly gotten what I deserve. You can forgive my mother. I truly love you. Without you, I wouldn't be able to live. Looking at the woman in front of me, filled with deep affection, I only find it laughable. You don't really love me. You can't bear to let me go. You just can't accept that someone who loved you for 26 years suddenly no longer loves you. Even if a dog you've raised for years suddenly dies, you would still find it hard to get used to, let alone someone you've spent so many years with. So, you don't need to tell me you love me. The person who truly loves me would never do those hurtful things to me. Only after losing something do you realize its worth. It's just that your heart refuses to let go. She stopped, as if finally having some lie exposed. Lowering her eyes, she spoke seriously. I know, no matter what I say, you won't believe me anymore. I was the one who did wrong. I should bear these consequences. I'm not here to earn your forgiveness. I just want to see you once more. I know the gap between us. Right now, you're like that shining star in the sky, while I've already rotted in the mud. I don't dare to hope for anything. I just hope you'll be happy. For once, this is truly goodbye. Gu-hee. After saying all this, she opened the car door. The car started, and she drove farther away. I smiled faintly. I drove away. Goodbye. We will never meet again. The end of the story.